Hello, ladies and gentlemen at home and the wider viewing public, or listening public. Welcome to the Tyre Straits podcast. This is that weekly podcast that is hosted by two people with a questionable amount of knowledge on motorsports. You have myself, Scobbo, and I am joined by my sexually attractive co-host.
That's a very strange specification. Doots.
First thing that came to mind. How are you this week?
Yeah, not bad. Decent race that's just gone by.
Yeah,
Silverstone weekend. Fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought
good
it was.
Weekend on the whole.
I think it's been best race of the year, myself.
We can get into that later.
We can get into that, but the fight, like the battles, the results,
absolutely.
Everything kind of about it has been pretty up there in terms of quality this year.
Aside from that, obviously the F1 Grand Prix just gone is all to come. But we do have a few little bits of news just before we get started. And first of that is the attendance at Silverstone over the course of the weekend. Obviously, Silverstone is the track with the highest capacity out of any of the Formula One tracks. I think the next highest is either Spa or I think Spa's third highest. But Spa only has like 300,000 capacity over a weekend, like max. So Silverstone is already about 200,000 people in attendance, higher than the next, few tracks. So it was already going to be high. But then with how many people showed up this year, I think it was 520,000 last year. So it's 44,000 people this year that came as well.
This is not just like a record for Silverstone, this is a record for F1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this is the most attendees for a race ever, which is fantastic to see from the sport.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's like over 500,000 people rocking up to some random track in the Midlands to come watch cars go fast around it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Silverstone is a special place, and yeah, we can, like I say, we'll discuss the race itself in a minute, but it is that hallowed ground for Formula One, I suppose. It's where it all started, and it's up there in the top 3 tracks in the calendar. So
it's easily one of those that it's never going to go. You can't get rid of Silverstone.
No.
It provides year in, year out. Yeah, yeah. Apart from when they did get rid of Silverstone, but I think you shouldn't, because it just always provides.
It's a great
always
track,
a good race,
and I don't see how their original plans to modernise Donington Park would have been better.
I mean, not better, but if they were, I will say I'm quite.
It still would have been good. I like Donington. I like Donington. Obviously, it was only featured in one Formula One race ever, and it was a great race.
Yeah.
So,
but do it as an additional. Don't get rid of Silverstone.
No, exactly that. Obviously, we discussed this, I believe, already before, whether it was on the podcast or not. But having a rotating European Grand Prix visit tracks like, tracks that aren't featured so heavily because their host nation already has one or whatever. But tracks like Zolder in Belgium, Donington Park in the UK, if we were to have a French Grand Prix again, you could then use one of the other French tracks like Magny-Cours or Paul Ricard, whatever the case. We have done some discussion. We've done 2 sort of episodes based on tracks alone, so
yeah.
We've discussed it quite a bit before, but I think Silverstone, great track, great record to hold as well now, and with the trend in popularity that Formula One is gaining in the last nearly 10 years now since Liberty Media took over. It's just over 10 years, something like that.
Something around that.
Nevertheless,
I don't know. I'd have to.
Obviously,
check.
2018 is when they had the whole big rebrand thing, but I think they took over just before that. So, nevertheless, this is huge, and I think it's only going to be broken again next year.
It was 2017.
Like 2017, yeah.
It was 2017. It got acquired, yeah.
But yeah,
no. It just seems to keep going up, and it's great for the popularity of the sport. As much as people go on about new F1 fans, they don't understand X, Y, Z. It's still great for the sport.
It's casual fans that keep the sport alive with the investments, the money that's paid into it, all of these things. You'll always get those people that they'll say something completely stupid, and you'll ball up your fists and puff for a moment, but then you calm down and remember, without them we wouldn't have F1. So you sort of look at them more affably.
it's also just the fact of like, not everyone is quite as dedicated to something, and as long as they're still enjoying it, and
Well,
if
yeah.
they're making like, I mean, if someone makes a wrong point, just like correct them,
Yeah.
but like in a polite
Yeah,
way,
I would say
just being
don't.
like honest.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're
Oh
wrong.
my god, how didn't you know that the 1996 world champion was Damon Hill? How could you?
You fucking idiot.
It's like, no, just take it easy. It ain't that deep.
Yeah, we want to make the sport a safe space, an inclusive place for everyone to just enjoy it. It's like any sport. You're going to have people that enjoy it more than others. Some people will dip into it here and there. Some people will dedicate their entire lives to it. So it is really what you gonna say, sorry?
It's a beautiful thing, but we have yapped on a while for
We have for
but just on
waxing lyrical about Silverstone.
Yeah.
But do you have any other news for us, Mr. Doots?
Yes. So this is not like a particular thing, but it's just contract rumors. There's a lot more stuff swirling. Obviously, at the moment, we know that a number of people don't have contracts for next year, and while some drivers seem to be like staying where they are, in rumor, there's also big rumors around Max's future. With apparently there being rumors about tension within the team, between higher ups and him, which could possibly make him move or leave. There's obviously, we know about the issues with Ocon's seat and how that's most likely going to be taken by someone else.
Yeah.
But then
we
also
mentioned last week, obviously, Nicola Solov getting a guarantee.
Yes. Solov taking
Lawson's future
seat.
Unguaranteed.
Which, considering that Solov did fantastic this weekend, which I will get to, that's looking quite likely.
Yeah.
And then the other one is that Oscar Piastri, apparently there's been growing rumours that McLaren are trying to find an exit clause for him, either to fit in Verstappen.
Also, I've heard it both ways from both sides, whether it's the team wanting to get rid of Oscar or Oscar and Oscar working with his management to enact an exit clause. Yeah. So it really could be a whole lot of anything or a whole lot of nothing. But at the same time, the reason we bring it up is obviously where there's smoke, there's fire. There could, there's bound to be some sort of reason for these things to be coming out. So it's worth staying tuned on.
Yeah, I just think that it'd be ridiculous to get rid of Piastri.
Yeah.
And sorry, no. It's not ridiculous to get rid of Piastri, because if you think that someone else can do better in that seat, that is fair. I think it would be ridiculous for Piastri to be wanting to leave.
Yeah.
Because unless there's an available top team spot, that's an absolute waste, considering that he's not doing horrendously at McLaren.
No.
Like, it's not like he's doing poor enough for them to easily just throw him out on grounds of performance. But, like, if he leaves and then there's no spaces at any other teams, like, no one moves from the top teams, they fill his slot with, like, Leonardo Fornaroli or something like that, then he just has to pick between one of the lower teams, which I just feel...
killing his career for no reason.
That's absolute career death for a guy who was in the championship battle last year.
Yeah.
Like, that would be such a shame to see.
It would. But I suppose
I believe that's all.
Only time can tell on that. And like I say, obviously it could be a whole lot of nothing, but it's worth just keeping tabs on these things in case anything big does come up. So, yeah, let's move things along to the British Grand Prix weekend. General sort of thoughts at the moment going into this?
General thoughts on the British Grand Prix. I thought the whole thing was brilliant. Though I do actually want to mention the kart race, because we had the Lego car race before.
Yes.
I thought it was such a gimmick this year. Like, last year I understand it was a bit of fun and it was kind of goofy and it was out of nowhere, but it felt so forced this year.
Yeah, and obviously the drivers just took the piss with it straight away anyway.
Yeah, the drivers, like, it was clear the drivers didn't care. They kind of felt that it's like, we did this already.
Yeah.
It's just a gimmick because it worked last time.
And of course, you had the obligatory Mohammed bin Salem trying to slot himself into things however he could.
Well, they had MBS and Stefano Domenicali out on track.
Yeah,
it's like,
which I found really funny because he was actually in a proper go-kart as well. That's I believe from a glancing look, not to get into my area of expertise here, but it's I think it was a Sodi. I think Silverstone has RT10s, and that's a pretty quick rental go-kart, and yet I don't know if they turned the speed down on his or what, but like he was just pointless. Why is he there?
I don't know. It was just so weird.
What?
It was very. It felt so awkward.
Yeah.
Like the full event, I understand it was a gimmick the first time, but it was a gimmick we hadn't seen before.
I feel like
what
would have been more fun to watch is if they actually got them in the. Well, Silverstone now has its own karting track, its own fleet of karts. Just use those. Do an actual kart race with the drivers. Have them do a proper kart race just for a bit of fun. Something still relatively proper and still decently serious, but still enjoyable. Something for the fans to get engaged with. Something for the drivers to have a laugh with. That's a great opportunity.
But I'm certain you probably still enjoyed it because Fernando Alonso won the kart
I did.
race.
He's finally got that 33rd Grand Prix victory in an F1 sanctioned event. So in equal machinery, this is what I've been saying. In equal machinery, Fernando Alonso slams everyone. This is what I've been saying.
I guess so. But
this is what I've been saying. Man.
Regardless, I thought this weekend was really good. I know that there's a lot of things in the air about a certain event that people are irritated about, and I do have my thought on that.
Yeah, and we can definitely come to that at the end, because I think that's it's definitely for me what soured the ending. I still think it was definitely top 3 race of the season. I know you said you think it's the best race of the season. I don't think I can quite justify it just because of how anticlimactic the end was. Actually watching it, I was literally gripping the arms of my chair, like leaning forwards, screaming at the television, going, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god!" And then I just sat back and sort of slumped down. And I think based on just that dejected feeling I got, I think that's what sort of killed the momentum for me on this one.
I think it's between this and Barcelona, I think, for best race of the year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Austria should be in the discussion as well there. Austria was a good race.
Austria had a really good... Austria and Canada are in the same camp. They had a really good opening, and then nothing happened.
That's fair. I think I think the action early on was good in Austria.
Yeah, but the final couple of laps for Austria were, a bit tense, but I don't think it's best.
I mean,
I think at the very least Barcelona beats it.
Yeah, I think we can get to the minutiae of the actual events that happened in that Formula 1 Grand Prix on Sunday in a minute. But first, do you want to just quickly take us through the sprint race? I was unable to watch the sprint, so I'll have to hand this over to you here.
No, I had to watch the sprint on catch up. Just very quick, run it through. So the sprint, we had Hamilton on pole, and from that took an early lead. It was actually really good battling throughout the field from 3rd down to 7th, but Hamilton and Antonelli just had so much better pace than everyone else. And so they just went off, took a bit of a gap. The fighting between the rest of the top team drivers was great, apart from what's called... Oh, why is his name gone? Hajar, who dropped back early on, and then when coming back through the pack to try and get into 8th, there was a pretty heavy moving under braking from Lawson, which nearly caused a collision, which is a little dodgy. But Antonelli ended up overtaking Hamilton to take the win, it was Hamilton and Norris on the podium for the sprint, from memory.
Right.
And then, that's all from the sprint race.
Yeah, that's good, at least. And obviously, I wish I could have seen it, because I did hear it was actually one of the better ones. But do you have any sort of closing remarks on the sprint?
No, nothing in particular. I might quickly run through the points. It was basically top team drivers, and then Lawson scooping up 8th. Basically, Antonelli, Hamilton, Norris, Russell, Leclerc, Verstappen, Piastri, and then Lawson.
Yeah. Liam Lawson has just been genuinely so impressive this season.
He has been raking in points.
He is best of the rest driver. He is best of the rest.
He's not yet, actually.
In terms of recent form, points. I mean, like right now.
In terms of recent... In terms
Points
of
don't
recent
reflect that just because of the
form,
beginning of the
yeah,
season, but like right now, at current point, he is best of the rest driver.
I'd probably say so. But that being said, Lindblad's not been doing
No,
badly either
Lindblad.
in
I mean,
form. He's
Lindblad
been
finished
so
just
behind
behind
him.
him on the race.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, Lindblad has been doing very, very well. That's not to
But it's
take away
been
from him at all, but I think
no,
it just highlights what a lot of people are thinking is a mistake if Racing Bulls do get rid of Lawson.
yeah, for Solov. I mean, it's been, and I'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah.
It's been 4 Grand Prix on the bounce where it's been a V-carb double points, which is pretty good on the whole.
Yeah, they've been doing really well this season, which a lot of people weren't expecting, including us.
No, I thought nothing of it from testing, but that tells you the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, shall we get onto the main Grand Prix then?
Yes, let us do so. So, whereabouts did we line up on the grid? Do you want to give us a quick rundown of the top 10 after qualifying?
For the grid, we had Kimi Antonelli on pole, and then Hamilton in second, joining him on the front row.
No.
Oh no, I'm looking at the completely wrong thing. I've messed this up. It was Antonelli on pole, but then it was Leclerc joining him on the front row, Hamilton in third, Russell in fourth, making up the top 4. Below that was just Hajar, Norris, Verstappen, Piastri, and then Lindblad and Lawson rounding off the top 10.
Yeah. So,
then the main race happened, and we had a beautiful return to the top step.
Yes.
From Charles Leclerc. I want that out of the way first. I'm sorry. Fantastic win. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it was really deserved, but I do not care.
I think so. Like, I know some people have been a bit contentious about it, but to be honest, in terms of that win, I think it was deserved. You know, he as much as Antonelli was obviously hindered by things outside of his own control for the most part. You know, Leclerc ran a faultless race, no mistakes, no problems on his end, and I'm sure that, you know, once Kimi caught him up as he was doing so before he had that the wheel.
It was a like inside wheel cover.
Yeah, I would say it's the fairing that's sort of the aerodynamic element. Yeah. If before that, you know, I'm sure Antonelli would have caught him, but I like to think they would have battled. I like to think Leclerc would have been able to use that pace that he had, use his skills, and even if he did get past, you know, he'd have still come home very close behind. And I think based on that, you know, it's a deserved win. Absolutely.
I think you can't fault him for anything because he did have a really good race.
He did.
But I am firmly in the camp, even as a Leclerc fan, and I'm so happy about that he did get the win. I'm firmly in the camp that if Antonelli had not had problems, there's no chance that Leclerc would have won. Antonelli was closing at a rate of knots with 10 laps to go and 10 lap younger tyres. Like, there is no way that in that Mercedes he wouldn't have managed to get past Leclerc, in my thoughts.
That is fair.
And
I like to have a little bit of faith in the art of defensive driving.
To some degree.
Down the straights with the battery in these cars, it is sometimes a bit pointless unless you position yourself really well.
It can be a bit tough at times. But no, really good race from Leclerc regardless.
Faultless.
Even if he wasn't.
Faultless race.
Yeah. Like, you can't fault him for that. Quickly run through the rest of the results. It was Russell joining him in second, which that is something that happened.
Indeed.
With Hamilton in third. Then Norris in fourth, Hajar in fifth. A really good points haul for him. Liam Lawson in sixth, with Lindblad in seventh. Mainly aided by a couple of the top team drivers going out. There was Bortoletto in eighth. Colapinto in 9th, and Pierre Gasly in 10th. Now, I think it's time
let's just address the elephant in the room. Yeah, let's get that out of the way first. Obviously, after Max Verstappen ended up crashing out with how long was it? Like 8 laps to go or something like that.
It was 8 laps.
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Failed to.
No. 6 laps.
6 laps to go. Failed to close the rear wing in time. And that just meant that he had no downforce on the rear tyres going into the next corner, lost the rear end, tried to correct it, ended up spinning off into the gravel and hitting the wall. That brought out the safety car, and that safety car stayed to the end. Now, with 1 lap left to go, the graphic was shown that the safety car would be ending, so we were going to get 1 lap of racing to decide the British Grand Prix winner. But unfortunately, that ended up being confirmed to be a mistake by the F1 TV director. The safety car was never being called in anyway. It was just staying out until the end. So a lot of people are a bit unhappy. And I'm definitely, as I said earlier, I'm a bit dejected about it, because for me, that ruined what could have been a 10 out of 10, 5-star, whatever you want to call it, race. And yeah, just a shame that it ended on that note when we could have had an all-time great on our hands. But there are some people that have taken it a lot more seriously than others, and it does show when you look on like internet comments and things about it. So what are your general sort of thoughts on that?
So my thoughts, I mean, because of how much of an impact it has had on the race, due to several factors, I think it is quite defining of the results. But what I will say, I believe people are only so mad about this because we thought we were going to have a shootout.
Yeah.
If there had been no safety car ending graphic and we were just going to end behind the safety car, I think people would still be a little disappointed, but no one would be that angry about not having a shootout. It's the fact that we saw on screen safety car ending before like the last lap started. So it was like, okay, we're going to have 1 lap. You got Hamilton on fresher tyres than Russell. You've got everyone bunched up. This is going to be a good bit of chaos. And then it didn't happen. Whereas, like, the actual result, it's fine. Like, it's not that important.
I would like to add as well, of course, that then opened up people whinging about, this is how Abu Dhabi 2021 should have ended. And it's been nearly 5 years.
And this is and I'll actually bring this in now with the safety car. One of our hot takes from over on Instagram. If you haven't, then follow us over there. And after the races, we do like a little story post where you can put in your questions and hot takes. From N1 Bands 1, it's that this race in Abu Dhabi 2021 should have had their ending switched. As in giving us that 1 lap shootout. And I wouldn't be upset with a 1 lap shootout. It would be great.
I would have liked to have seen, that.
In the idea of switching them, though, I think we'd be infinitely more angry if we got teased with a 1 lap shootout for Abu Dhabi 2021 and then nothing happened. I think there would have been rioting on the streets. There would have been absolute riots if that, like, same safety car ending and then cancelled thing happened.
And I do think if you didn't already think the cult of Hamilton was unbearable already, God forbid.
Oh, they were so much worse back then.
God forbid he actually won the race. God forbid. No, it's every time anything happens in Formula 1 these days, the can of worms that is Abu Dhabi 2021 gets opened up by someone. And it's no different this weekend. Even just Max and Lewis battling on track at Austria, you had people drawing parallels to 2021. You can't escape it. It casts such a long shadow, and I find it quite funny.
I mean, speaking of Lewis, this safety car and Ferrari's strategy, I
can't fault them, and I think even Martin Brundle, I think it was on the broadcast, said the same. You had to do it. Because if there was even any inkling that the safety car was going to come in with a few laps left, you had to put them on the fresher tyres.
I can fault him. I mean, obviously the power of hindsight is strong.
Yeah.
But you got to remember that from, like, if I'm correct, after, like, a safety car finishes, overtake mode isn't active for, like, a lap or two. Well, yeah. Like, you can defend on all the tyres for at least a lap. No. It's more of a risk, but in this scenario, you have literally given away a place. And you are hoping, because Russell's on old tyres as well.
That's the thing, though, with obviously the thing is, with Leclerc obviously also making that pit stop for softs, with the expectation being that they were going to be racing, Russell was going to always be a problem. So they had to try and cover him off somehow. And by by putting Hamilton on, even if it wasn't so to advance Hamilton's position, it was to defend Leclerc's. Because obviously, while Leclerc is on the fresher tyres, his are not as warm as Russell's would have been. And with Hamilton, if they get Hamilton behind him on soft tyres, Russell has to worry about the car behind rather than the car in front. I think it was the sensible decision from a team standpoint to, with the going off of the expectation that the safety car was going to come in, that they needed to make that decision. And obviously, like I say, it didn't end up being fruitful. It didn't end up being the right decision. But sometimes that is the gamble that you've got to take with these things. And I think had they actually gone back to racing, we would have seen the effect of it much better.
I think because Leclerc pitted, didn't he? For fresh tyres.
He put fresh softs on.
Yeah, and Russell didn't. So why would you need Hamilton to defend Leclerc, who's on fresh tyres, from someone on old tyres?
Well, like I say, it's the heat in the tyres. Those soft tyres are only going to grip in once there's actually some warmth in them.
To a degree, but they've got these safety car laps to warm them up.
That's still not going to be quite the same. Like the temperature in the tyres only increases under race forces.
I mean,
that's why you get the. They don't do it these days, but you used to get on F1 broadcasts. You get the thermal cameras as well, and you could actually see the heat in the tyres under braking. So
the reason they don't do that, complete tangent, because that was faked.
Oh, okay.
They didn't actually have thermal cameras. They were just using a faked overlay.
I see. But yeah, no, either way, it's obviously something it's not the same karting, but at the same time, the principle remains the same. It's the actual forces on the tyres, including the heat generated from the brakes that generates the grip in the tyre. If you're just driving slowly behind the safety car, you're really not putting a lot of temperature into the tyres. Obviously, that's why you get the drivers weaving to try and cover more ground, try and enact more force on the tyres, try and generate more heat. But that's still not the same as having tyres that are already hot, So Leclerc's tyres would have gripped in over the course of the lap. But from the start of the lap, he would have been very vulnerable to Russell. If Russell tried anything, Leclerc would have likely lost the position and would have had to fight back for it.
But he did also have the advantage of being the safety car pack leader, so he got to jump when he felt ready.
That is true, yes. But like I say, I think the difference in grip at the beginning, you'd be surprised by how much of a difference it would make.
I think it's just an odd decision to try and... Because then Hamilton would be dealing with the same issue. So it makes very little point in, you're not Hamilton, assuming that the idea is that the softs are going to be cold for the Ferraris because they're fresh sets that have been put on.
Yes.
Hamilton won't then have the grip to pull up and try and attack Russell immediately.
Not immediately,
Leclerc won't have the grip to defend, so what's the point? Why not just leave Hamilton in second?
Well, I think obviously, like I say, they didn't know how long the safety car was going to stay out for either.
Yeah.
They didn't know if they were going to get one racing lap or four, depending on how long it took to clear Max's car. If it was that, that's why I think it was the right decision. Because while obviously I agree, with colder tyres, like I said, over the course of that first lap, that's when they're actually going to grip in, not beforehand. But once Hamilton has the grip in his tyres, he would have, made a huge issue for George Russell, and that would lead Leclerc to be able to comfortably get away, while Russell has to worry about an attacking Hamilton. And that's obviously with the expectation that the safety car was not going to be out for very long, as I'm sure most of the teams did expect.
I mean, I
still obviously, once again, we all know it was the wrong decision, but I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here, because I think if I, with the same information, had to make the same decision, I'd have done the same thing.
I would have kept Hamilton out and pitted Leclerc.
I'm sure the result probably would have been the same, but it just would have... It's better to try and, at least in your own mind, guarantee the result rather than possibly gamble it.
I guess. I mean, it's just an odd one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, like I say, it's a shame that
Yeah,
the race ended that way after being so entertaining for the duration of it.
yeah.
But
But I definitely think that it caused much more of an issue because we thought we were going to get that shootout at the
yeah,
end.
no, that's fair. But unless do you have anything else to sort of add to that as a
Yeah,
close?
not on the safety car, but I do want to talk about
I was going
Antonelli
to segue into that.
a bit
Yeah,
more.
I was going to.
Yeah, his woes
Yes, I
of
mean,
the
obviously, not just today. Well, not today. Sorry, the other day for the race, but obviously in 2 out of the last 3 races, he's DNF'd. Well,
yeah,
not necessarily this race, but he's finished out of the points in this one, and obviously he had the DNF in the race before Austria. So
yeah,
he's missed out on points now. That's what I should have said rather than DNF. He's missed out on points in 2 out of the last 3 races, which has allowed obviously the gap between him and Russell to close up, and that's also allowed after this win Charles Leclerc to enter the picture, because I wouldn't count him out yet. He's only I looked the other day. He's like 31 points behind Hamilton, or less than that rather. I think 20.
He's 71 points off the lead.
Yeah,
which is Antonelli.
but he's not far away from third.
I think he's gonna have to put I wouldn't count him out for
over the duration
like
of the season.
We still have a lot of races to go, but what I would say is I don't think it's worth taking him seriously until he closes up to Hamilton.
But I'm just saying this has possibly given him an opportunity should he be able to mount a charge going forwards. He did say that this is the first race this season that he's actually felt comfortable in the car. And I think if that trend continues, then he may become a frequent, at least podium finisher.
Part of that was because 'cause I remember him talking about that he's taken some like help of the kind of flow that Hamilton's got in the car.
Yeah.
So essentially taken the setup.
Yeah. And I think that's helped him.
And used it on his car, which if it works, it works.
Exactly. And it's just obviously with Leclerc, I'm just happy to see that he's back in a position where he is more comfortable. Mum called to ask if the dishes had been washed. I shouted back Charles Leclerc, and she screamed because she knew that they were not washed yet.
It's good to see. It's first win for since 2024 in Austin.
Yeah.
Like it's really good to see him back on the
top
step.
And I hope that can be a frequent sight over the course of the season.
And after his slightly questionable form the past 3 races, it's good to see him back on top.
Yeah.
And actually showing why he got that Ferrari seat and why he's like a worthwhile driver to be in those top teams.
Obviously he's got that long fucking contract extension.
He's got a long ass contract with Ferrari, and he's one of them. He's their second most tenured driver.
Yeah.
Despite only having 9 wins. 9. He has fewer than Bottas.
Yeah. I mean, until today, he had the same amount as Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah. I mean, that's also insane. But no, the other thing I want to talk with Antonelli was just how pacey he was. I kind of mentioned it earlier, but he had such good pace this race, and it was so on to be his win.
He was.
If I'm going to be honest.
I mean, you look at the onboard with him, and he was absolutely just flying until he went over that serrated curb and obviously dislodged the wheel shield on the left-hand wheel. He was on track to catch him within, I think, 3 laps. I think it would have been.
Yeah, it was a couple of laps. Like it was not long at all.
And obviously that would have left Leclerc defending for, or at least attempting to, for 5 to 6 laps at the end.
Yeah,
so
which I don't know if he.
It could have been an incredible showdown, no matter what. Like the possibility was there prior to obviously Antonelli suffering from issues, and then the safety car coming out thanks to that crash from Verstappen.
It was the issue. It was the technical issues, and then getting a
penalty,
time penalty
for track limits infringements.
5-second time penalty for track limits, which then he got while struggling with.
Yeah, after the wheel shield got dislodged, the left front wheel was not always making contact with the ground properly, so he was basically halved his actual turning ability through some corners.
Yeah, and he was just
going
got
flying
the penalty
off.
for it.
Yeah, he
And the
got given the
penalty would
penalty,
have,
which he served after the race.
well, it would have been fine, but kinda a little bit tedious. But because of the
So
safety
yeah, the
car,
safety car
it
ruined that
means that
strategy.
it flung him all the way back to 15th.
I mean, it was interesting to see what he was going for because he complained and then sort of he asked Bono what position he was in, and once he said like you're in P10,
Yeah.
he changed his mind about retiring the car and tried to stay out to salvage a point
He wanted that point.
because
Which,
points that point could decide the championship eventually.
yeah.
So it was definitely tense, and with the Alpines starting to come into the picture from the distance, he was going to need to do something about it. But then the safety car came out, and that whole plan just ground to a screeching halt.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of everything for the F1 race.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless there's anything else you wanna talk about.
Not really. No. I just think obviously great to see Charles Leclerc back at the top.
Yeah.
Great results for some of the other teams. Obviously, Racing Bulls double points, Audi in the points, Alpine double points. So obviously Oscar Piastri, after suffering from some serious damage at the beginning, managed to claw it back to P11.
Which I mean,
obviously with
it was such a
penalties
shame,
applied, for
Yeah, no,
Antonelli, but he could have
last thing,
definitely made it back into the points if
it
things had been
wasn't even
better.
his fault that much
No,
for
not
the
at all.
damage he got. Yeah.
So
yeah.
the effort that he put in obviously hasn't really been reported on very much, but really, aside from
And
that
then
incident, great race from him. He tried everything he could, and
there was a great
I
race
don't
from
doubt that if the safety car had ended, he would have managed to plant it in the points.
yeah, it's a great race from Bortoletto as well.
Yeah.
Like holding it pretty high up all throughout. He was on for just getting 1 point, but ended up going to 4 with Antonelli and Verstappen having their issues.
Indeed.
But yeah, no, very good.
Well, yeah.
Now,
that's
I think that's
all I have to
that's
say.
everything
Yeah.
for the Grand Prix. Before we do our review of the predictions, I want to quickly go over the feeder series at Silverstone this weekend. Just real quick, F2 was absolutely dominated by Nikola Solov, winning both the sprint and the feature race, which makes him the first F2 driver to ever win a hat-trick of 3 races in a row. And I think this is even more damning evidence that he's coming through. He's going to be taking one of those V-carb seats, and it's likely to be Lawson's. But we shall see. There is always the chance that they just put him in reserve for a year to give Lawson, Lindblad, and Hajar a bit more time for decisions. Then in F3, we had Ugo Chuku, who had the most dominant sprint in F3 history with a massive, I think it was like a 17-second margin he had over second place.
Yeah.
Which was Yevan David for Sri Lanka, who put in the most insane defensive driving I've seen in a while, holding back this massive chain of drivers all battling behind him for it was like 5 laps or something. Like, it was brilliant. And then the feature race started off with, it was Matteo De Paulo who had the win originally, but then he got disqualified, and then Rivera got a penalty because he took the win first. And then I think maybe Wharton had the win, and then he got a penalty as well. So it's Guadish with the win for Poland, I think, after all the penalties. With the 2 championship rivals of Ugochukwu and Freddie Slater filling the other 2 podium slots. Perfect.
Yes.
That's all.
So every week before a race, so in last week's episode, we made predictions, and we do this every week before a Formula 1 Grand Prix, and we do 4 predictions each on what we think is going to be the outcome, and then in the episode directly after that race, we go over them. And obviously, no different this time. So the 4 categories we make predictions on are the race winner, self-explanatory, the race binner, so who we think is going to have a bad race, crash out, something will go wrong in the car, anything like that. Bad weekend overall, basically. Flop of the tops, basically which top team driver we think is going to do the worst. And then we have our wild card predictions. and that's basically could be anything. Doesn't have to be anything specific, but obviously still within the realms of possibility, I suppose. So, why don't you start us off? Who do you think was going to be the race winner?
Well, race winner, I said was going to be Kimi Antonelli.
Very close to being true.
It's very close to being true. I think both of us had really good guesses for this one because we were both nearly right.
We were both nearly right because I put Lewis Hamilton as my race winner. So it could have been either of them. It could have been. It just didn't end up being, unfortunately. Well, I'm not dissatisfied
I'm not
with the
upset
actual
with
race
Leclerc
result.
winning. Instead, in all fairness, I just didn't have faith.
But obviously, I quite like having some points in our predictions championship because at the end of the year, whoever got the most predictions right will be receiving a prize of some variety selected by the other presenter of this show.
Indeed.
So
right.
To move things along, who did you put down as your race winner?
For my race winner, I went with Ollie Behrman. And after a spin out with, I believe it was Albon at the start, actually, it looked like it was going to be on. It looked like he, was down at the bottom in 20th roughly, and I was like, there's no way he's going to climb back up. But thanks to penalties and safety cars and pit strategies, he managed to make his way up to 12th, which it was not a bad drive at all. Wasn't good, but there's no way you could call him a race spinner for that.
No, there are far more deserving cases of that
Indeed.
title. Such as mine, which was Alexander Albon, who of course had that crash, and although he did manage to stay out for a considerable amount of the Grand Prix, the damage that he incurred ultimately would lead to the end of his race later on. So, obviously a mistake from him. Not a great look, just overall a weekend to forget for the Williams driver.
Yeah, it was a mistake that ended with a collision with Behrman and a spin.
Yeah.
He got a 10-second time penalty for the incident.
Yeah, he did.
He then had to pit to get a front wing change plus the penalty. So I think he was around it was like a full minute back.
He was,
within the first couple of laps of the race, and he just got further and further away.
Yeah.
And then they just pitted to retire him. They're like, it's not worth it.
And obviously the damage to his car was obviously slowing him down as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, for flop of the tops, we both put the same one. So, 3, 2, 1, Hadjar. You're a bit off.
And, we were both wrong. There was no way you could easily, Hadjar had a pretty good race.
He did. And obviously, his whole race weekend was pretty damn good. I mean, obviously, in all practice/qualifying sessions, he was faster than his teammate Max. Well, no, not the sprint qualifying, sorry, but the actual race sessions. He was faster than Max Verstappen. He had some genuine pace with him this weekend, and he did it, as much as he tried in the race. When it comes to his qualifying position and his finishing position, he didn't go up, he didn't go down, he stayed right there in P5. And that is obviously not a flopping of the top.
Yeah, no.
Unlike could be said for his teammate.
Start 5th, finish 5th. There were definitely top team drivers that had worse races.
You could have said Piastri, you could have said, obviously, Verstappen.
You
could have said Antonelli.
I would have said Verstappen.
We had a lot of options.
I would have said Verstappen would be the correct one because Piastri and Antonelli kind of got done in by things that weren't their fault, whereas Verstappen went off all on his own.
They still would have been worthy.
Oh yeah, they would have been. They would have been
top team drivers that had a flop race. But yes, you
could have at least fought it.
Yeah, exactly. But that takes us round to the wild cards, and obviously with me 1-up, so it's 1-0 after 6 predictions so far between the two of us. What did you put for the wild card?
So for my wild card, I went crazy with this. I said both Aston Martins are going to finish the race.
You madman!
I'm a madman, and I'm a madman with.
And I'm a madman, and I'm a madman.
I'm just mad. I'm just crazy, and it worked.
Yeah, it did
because both Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso finished the race. in 18th and 19th. They were a lap down.
It did look like that wasn't going to be on at the start after Alonso's car stopped on the formation lap, and he had to start from the pit lane.
There was a split second where I thought he was gonna have a DNS, and I was like, "There's no fucking way that my wild card is instantly done."
Yeah, before the race even started.
No, he just had a pit lane.
He made it out of the pit lane. He was and luckily managed to make it to the end. That's my goat. But yes, my wild card prediction was that we would have 2 British drivers on the podium, and of course we did, with Russell and Hamilton coming home in second and third. So.
Yeah,
I'm happy, you're happy, and that's made things very interesting for our
tied us up.
Our predictions championship, because we are now tied, both on 9.5 points each. So it's looking tasty now as we go into the as we get close. We're getting close to the mid-season break. We got 2 more races, and then it's the summer break.
So we've got a week's break, then we've got
Belgium and
Spa,
Hungary,
and then Hungary, and then it's the summer break.
That's it, yeah. So
we won't be going anywhere for the summer's break. We've got stuff sorted.
We do
for the 3 weeks off.
So don't you worry, my pretties. We've got plenty to talk about.
Indeed.
But that concludes the Formula One discussion for this week. And now all that remains to be done is discuss what else has been happening in the world of motorsports. And it's been a relatively busy week, I should say. I'll start us off like I normally would with the NASCAR Cup Series, which I follow quite closely. This race was, I think, the first one this season that I wasn't able to watch even a little bit of. I was so busy on Sunday, which was such a shame because this actually ended up being quite a good race by all accounts. So this was the return to Chicagoland after 7 years away from the NASCAR Cup Series calendar. And Chase Briscoe took his first win of the season. And like I said, a lot of people after the race has said it was quite an exciting one. And the thing that the headline for me coming out of that, with not much else to say about the race itself, having not watched it, is Denny Hamlin. Obviously, he is the driver I support the most. He is the one I'm the biggest fan of. And he started on the pole, but ended up stuck in the middle of the pack after a botched pit stop. I think on the highlights that I saw, his wheels weren't tightened properly on the left-hand side. And he ended up coming out. He went into the pits in second, came out in 21st. But I'm not sure how, because I couldn't watch all of the highlights either. But he ended up finishing third after what I can only guess was one hell of a drive. And that has had big implications for the championship, because seeming to be a pattern here as well, Tyler Reddick has had issues once again after he hit debris on track that caused some serious damage to his car. And that has meant that he has gone from being just 1 point behind Denny Hamlin to now a whole 44 points behind him in the regular season standings. And now if it continues to decline for Tyler Reddick, he's got Ryan Blaney knocking on his door, only 50, 60 points behind him. So it really is getting quite close, and a lot of people are starting to think this is now Hamlin's year for sure. And I would really like that. I would really, really like that. After 20, this would be his 21st, 22nd season of trying to get a cut. Yeah. I think it's more than deserving. And with Atlanta being the next round, it really could be anyone's game, because I don't believe Hamlin's actually ever won at Atlanta. So I genuinely have no guess on who that could win next week. It's, if you look on the Wikipedia page, I'm sure it'll probably. I can't remember the last person that actually won there. No, I think it was Chase Elliott won last year. But then beyond that, I can't remember. So it really is a bit of a mix-up from what I do know. And with that in mind, I would not recommend missing it. And since I missed Chicagoland, I'm going to do everything in my power to not miss Atlanta.
Very fair, very fair. All right. I'm going to quickly talk about Formula E now. We've gone back to Shanghai, where it's been a really rainy weekend, so much so that they had to change some of the times and were considering cancelling the race for a chunk of time. First race was won by Pascal Wehrlein, which there was the fight for the lead was mainly just between him, Jake Dennis, and Antonio Felix da Costa, with the rain not actually making that much of an impact on the racing. It was quite light then. And it wasn't the most interesting race, not too much shuffled around. Good race performance from Felipe Drugovich. I mean, he just had a good weekend overall. but not too much can really be said about the first race. Second one, however, was a massive bit of chaos. There weren't any particular like major crashes or anything, but a full course yellow during like on the pit straight from Zane Maloney caused such a change in the standings, with people not being allowed to use, with a lot of people on attack mode that have then had their chance to use it denied, with Lucas de Grassi taking the victory, which was brilliant to see in his final year, with him announced that he's retiring at the end of this year. To see him take victory after several years, after starting P19 and in the country where he won the first ever Formula E race, it's just nice to see.
Nice.
Very good up there.
Yeah,
like, it was good to see him take a top spot.
I think that makes him what, the oldest driver to win an Formula E Grand Prix as well, or E Prix, I should say.
De Grassi, yeah, it does make him the oldest guy to ever win a Formula E race.
Yeah, nice. That's wholesome.
But realistically, the race should have been won by Joel Eriksson, who put in a fantastic performance for Envision. Essentially, he had built a gap out front and then activated his attack mode just before the full course yellow set in, which meant that it got nullified, basically. So it means that after that ended and de Grassi was able to activate, and Verne were able to activate theirs, and they could just charge forward and overtake him, but still getting his first podium of the year in third is decent consolation, I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's undoubtedly good to see de Grassi get both a final win before retirement for him and Lola's first win as a team, considering how not great they have been all year. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, nice. Right. We like it.
Yeah.
Anyway, now it is my turn, because I must discuss the European Le Mans Series race, which took place for a 4-hour endurance race at Imola. And of course, Imola is a great racing track, and I really think it should be utilised more in future in other racing series, perhaps. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. And yeah, genuinely, all jokes aside, this was a great race. There was some really great racing across all 4 categories. And the first hour alone saw some seriously great wheel-to-wheel in both the LMP2 and LMGT3 categories, albeit there were a fair few incidents. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but literally just before the end of the first hour, there was some sort of mass exodus of LMP2 Pro-Am cars from the race, where the number 30, the number 27, the number 3, and the number 19 Pro-Am cars all found themselves, for various reasons, going off the track, into the gravel, crashing out, anything. And that was especially catastrophic for the number 19, as they were leaders in class at that point in time. So that was even the commentators were completely baffled, because all of these incidents happened within a lap of each other, just towards the end of the first hour. Like, the camera would go from the number 30 car, like, spinning out, and then I think it was the number 30, like, missing the corner, I think, and crashing off in the gravel in the foreground of the camera. And then the next shot you see, the number 27's gone off. And then the next shot you see is the number 3, then the number 19. It's all of the cars just absolutely going off, like, one after another consecutively. It was ridiculous. But, yeah. Towards the midpoint and from the... after the restart from the safety car, after those incidents, there was a battle for the LMP2 lead between United Autosports and Forestia Racing. And behind them, the LMGT3s continued to do battle, but I really think the shining stars of this race were the LMP2s. Just really, really close racing, and really, really exciting racing too. Like, it was getting really, really scrappy, but still staying clean. You had cars, like, putting 2 wheels on the dirt, like, just desperately trying to claw onto that move. It was genuinely, like, hungry, scrappy racing, but still with that class that you'd expect from professional racing drivers. And those bold moves just meant it had a really nice sort of ebb and flow to it, while still being really, like, edge of your seat exciting. And just to round off, I think, just to go over the winners of each class. So in LMP2, you had the number 29 Forestia Racing by Panis take the win in the end. This is a win they needed, because they are now just, I think it's like 4 points, I want to say, 4 or 5 points behind the United Auto Sports car, which is leading. And then behind in LMP2 Pro-Am, you had the number 7 of Vector Sport take the win. Obviously, looked like it was going to go the way of the number 19 until that crash, so that was a shame for them. But obviously, Vector Sport not going to complain about that. LMP3 was won by the number 17 CLX Motorsport, and then LMGT3 was won by the number 33 TF Sport Corvette. And the implications for the championship standings after 3 rounds, you have the number 22 Autosports holds the LMP2 championship lead by the narrowest of margins over the number 29. And then behind in LMP2 Pro-Am, you have the lead is actually tied behind the number 20 of Algarve Pro Racing and the number 7 of Vector Sport after their win in this race. Both of them are on 43 points. Then in LMP3, the number 5 of Rinaldi Racing holds the lead by 8 points. And in LMGT3, the number 33 TF Sport Corvette has taken the lead in the standings by 1 point. And the next round on the European Le Mans Series calendar is Spa for the 4 hours of Spa there. So that's going to be great. Obviously, we're always treated with Spa, so definitely stay tuned for that and try and catch it if you can.
Indeed. Now moving on to IndyCar. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have much to say. It was the Honda 200 at Mid-Ohio, and it was a very nothing race. There was a good battle between Lundgaard and O'Ward at the top. Ended up being a mistake from Lundgaard that let O'Ward take the lead and take the victory. But I think the bigger thing that has kind of captured everyone's minds was the announcement of for McLaren. Basically, Arrow McLaren announced their lineup, which is now consisting for next year of Pato O'Ward and then Felix Rosenqvist and Scott Dixon signing, which
bombshell
is such a massive one because it's partially weird. Like Pato O'Ward,
weird.
Sure,
Very
good
weird.
driver. He's been around for a bit. Scott Dixon, quite possibly the best IndyCar driver to ever do it. Yes, he's at the back end of his career, but he still has the most championships, most wins.
The statistics are with him.
It's like signing Hamilton, and especially as Dixon has been with Chip Ganassi for his whole IndyCar career. The fact that he's now moved to McLaren, it is like the Hamilton to Ferrari.
But the issue is, this is not Lewis Hamilton that we know now. This is Lewis Hamilton, 2025 Hamilton. Like, Scott Dixon is, I hate to say it, he is a bit washed. And as much as he obviously is the, one of the most successful drivers in the sport's history, the fact that McLaren traded Lundgaard for Dixon when Lundgaard is putting in some great results this season for them and was previously touted to be like part of their future, it's genuinely quite a shock. It comes as quite a shock to me.
Lundgaard is currently third in the championship for them, and he's beating O'Ward, so I don't really understand why they've binned him off. I understand why they've signed Dixon, because yes, while this year he's not been doing fantastic,
he is still one of the sport's biggest stars.
It's not even that he's one of the sport's biggest stars. Like, he was third in the championship last year. Like, it's not that he's fallen off a cliff or anything. He's just not having a great year this year.
That's why I said 2025 Hamilton.
Yeah. But things could change. I mean, we shall see. The one that confuses me is Rosenqvist, which it feels almost a little reactive because of his IndyCar win.
Indy 500 win, yeah.
Because apart from that, he's had a second at Long Beach and then had basically no other particularly noteworthy results this year.
I would have...
Is that
if they really wanted Dixon, I'd have at least kept Lundgaard instead of signing Rosenqvist.
I would have got... I mean, Siegel had to go. That was obvious. Like, he just was there because family money. But getting rid of Lundgaard, I think, is a massive misstep.
Huge.
Even then, O'Ward's been there for a while, and he, like...
The way I could equate that...
just won the race.
The way I could equate that for Formula One fans, obviously like you did with Dixon being signed, is that's if McLaren let go of Norris. It's like he's... he might not be... leading the championship this year, but he is still arguably one of their star drivers. Obviously, they've got a 2-star driver lineup, whatever they want to call it. But
Yeah.
he's a successful driver who's currently their best driver, and they've just decided to bin him off so that they could sign 2 other people. And neither of them this season have put in particularly awesome results, save for Rosenqvist winning the Indy 500. And even that was by the closest margin in Indy 500 history, with Rosenqvist basically using all of the overtake button on.
It could have so easily have been Malukas, who took the win. Yeah,
absolutely. So it does baffle me a bit, the fact, like I say, you can at least make a case for Dixon, but Rosenqvist, it's a lot harder to defend that decision. Like when you've already got Lundgaard, is what I should add. Rosenqvist is a great driver. Don't get me wrong, but when you already,
I feel it's a little reactionary.
Yeah, when you already have Lundgaard, who is doing the best out of all of them, it's surprising to me that decision was made.
I don't really get it, especially considering it's like Rosenqvist is in his 30s, Dixon is 45. Like neither of them are particularly young, and are potentially past their prime. I mean, Lundgaard has more wins. He has the same number of wins this year as Rosenqvist has ever had in IndyCar. Like, it's just an odd choice for me. However, the other thing I want to talk about with this is the fact that the announcement, or the lead up to the announcement, we had Will Buxton, who is a pretty well-known former F1 journalist, who is now one of the IndyCar commentators for Fox and Sky and stuff like that. He tweeted out that there's a really big announcement coming, and if it is what he thinks it is, it's going to be huge. And everyone, for some reason, jumped on it thinking it was F1. And they jump on it saying, oh my god, it's going to be huge F1 news. And then it turns out that it's the IndyCar news, and everyone is surprised. And yes, I understand Will Buxton was a well-known F1 journalist for a long time, but do you not think the guy who is an IndyCar commentator is potentially going to be talking about an IndyCar signing? Especially when, like, contracts are beginning to get sorted for it?
Yeah.
Like, I just think it's a little bit weird for people to jump so readily at him that it's, oh my god, you've tricked us, this isn't an F1 signing, or where's the F1 news? And it's like, he has no obligation to do F1 news. But no, that's about it, in my opinion, for IndyCar.
Yeah.
And finally, to round this off, we did a little bit of news for MotoGP. There was no race this weekend. We do have one next week, the last one before the summer break, but it's just some signings as silly season is in full swing now, with factory Yamaha have confirmed their lineup of Jorge Martin and Ayagura, which is hilarious in the fact that Yamaha is easily one of the worst teams on the grid at the moment, and both Martin and Agura are in the championship battle, so it's entirely possible that they are going to take the number 1 plate over to a team that is currently eating absolute shit at the bottom. But this is a new regulation we're going into next year, and so it could switch things up, and I really hope so, because, I mean, Martin's already a champion, he's already proved himself to be a fantastic rider, but Agura is just starting to hit his stride and is really showing, like, what a powerhouse he could be. And if he's been thrown into this Yamaha that is absolutely god-awful, then it's a waste of a talent. Absolutely. Next, Grassini have filled in their lineup with a really strange choice of Joan Mir and Danny Holgado, which Danny Holgado, new rider, mocking first rookie seat that's been confirmed, and I think it's good having some fresh blood in there, but also Joan Mir, really? I always think that he's like older than he is, and he's almost like Jacques Villeneuve, in the fact that he had like a good first year, won a championship in his second year from sheer consistency, and then ever since he's just been just do nothing. All he does is crash. Like he's not a bad rider when he like gets to it, but all he seems to do at the moment is either slide off or get caught in the stupidest incidents possible. And I think I understand a fresh start, getting away from Honda will be good. And Grassini, of all places, that is somewhere that will support you. Like, that's a good team there. But also, it's a very odd choice getting rid of both Alex Marquez and Fermin Aldeguer. Which, I mean, I know that Aldeguer is currently injured, but still, I just think it's bizarre. And then finally, we have the KTM factory team, which has confirmed their lineup of Alex Marquez and Fabio Di Giannantonio, which is just, it's another odd one, but I'm guessing they don't really have anyone that they want to pull through, considering the current, like, of the remaining KTM drivers. Like, Acosta was the one good rider who has fucked off to join Ducati. So now they have the choices between a perpetually injured Vinales, Brad Binder, who just can't seem to string anything together, and Bastianini, who is really good on his day, but his day is not that often, or not often enough to want to put him in the factory team. So pulling in two proven recent race winners who are out of contracts anyway, it's pretty good. And I think the rumours are that Di Giannantonio's seat at VR46 is going to be taken by Aldeguer, but we shall see. And yeah, that's all. It's in full swing in silly season. The only other thing mentioning is I think it's been doubled down that Toprak is keeping a seat at Pramac for next year, which kind of makes sense, give them 2 years at least. And we're moving to these 850cc bikes. It's more similar to the WSBK bikes that he's been riding, so it should be good. Should be interesting to see how things unfold. But I think that's everything for the other series discussion.
Yeah, I think that wraps things up nicely. Yeah. So,
brilliant. Final thoughts.
Mablingus.
Okay.
No, I think I got everything I needed to say. I thought I got everything I needed to say.
Good race. We got another week's break before the last two, and then the summer break will come, which is.
If any of you recall back further, for any of our 2 listeners who do, earlier on we made some first half of the season predictions, and we'll be going over those in the summer break. So we'll see who's ahead on those as well.
Yeah, we'll essentially be doing some review episodes. We've got one on just like a mid-season review where we revisit predictions and rank the drivers so far.
Indeed.
We've got a catch-up of just like the non-F1 series where we review the full seasons of these, like other motorsports that we follow. And then we'll be doing a second half of season predictions before returning back after the break.
Indeed. But that's all to come. And next week we will be doing something.
Yeah, we haven't actually decided on next week.
We've kind of got something planned, but we may just be saving it for a later episode. So
yeah,
it'll be a surprise. So
but yeah,
with all that said, if you've listened this far, thank you so much. Please, obviously, follow us on any and all social media platforms. That is Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and show us your support where you can. Leave comments, things like that we can see, we can react to, we can incorporate into future episodes. If you've got any hot takes, questions, things you want us to bring up in episodes, please leave a comment or shoot us a message on the Instagram. We are obviously a very small podcast, so it's not hard for one of us, at least, to be able to reply or at least incorporate your point into an upcoming episode. So please do get involved, get engaged. We'd love to have that. And with all that said, I think that's everything from me, at least. So thank you very much for listening. And that's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.